Hi, my name is Fernando Herrera, and I'm a former student here at LHS Kilo, and I'm a class graduate of 2015. And one of the main obstacles that I had to challenge or had to face is that my parents, they were immigrants from Mexico, and they have no college education. Only my dad had high school education, so that was kind of like an issue for me. They didn't really know how to guide me to college and how to get there. And so that's one of the reasons why I joined Avid my sophomore year at a Kilo. I had Miss Words, and I just couldn't thank her enough for giving me that foundation of how to reach my goals to go into college. And because of being Avid for 3 years throughout high school, right now I'm a sophomore at UNT with a major in geography, and I just couldn't be happier with where I am today due to the Avid program.
I grew up, once I got to high school, in a single family home. Actually, I grew up in a single family home long before that. My mother passed when I was 3 years old. My dad was sick most of the time I was in high school, so things were a little rough, not just to get my education, but to just take care of the house. And it got to a point during my senior year that I realized that once I graduated, I wasn't going to have a house to come home to. I had to get my dad to where he could get more help, and I had to figure out how to do things on my own. So the first year out of high school was rough. I basically lived in a truck, carried my stuff around Texas, slept on friends' couches, and just tried to make things work. The big thing for me was that I didn't have a plan. I didn't know how to get into college, and so I spent most of that year just trying to figure out how things worked. I really wish that I would have taken the time to figure out all of those little things about getting into college, to learn about scholarships, to learn about grants and all of those types of things. And while I learned a lot in that year that I spent out of college, I really do feel like it was a year wasted. I could have gone to college and gotten things going, right away instead of spending a year stumbling through life. But ultimately, I got that done. I got my bachelor's degree and I have a master's degree as well. So, whatever your circumstance is, it's just a circumstance. You got to learn to work through it. And once you figure out how to work through it, you're going to be okay in life.
Obstacles to college. I think my biggest obstacle, and if you've had me as your teacher, I say this every year, we were broke. My mom did not have a college education. She had a really good job, but because she didn't have a degree, they ended up laying her off. And then she had to work jobs here and there. And she didn't make enough money to save, and she didn't make enough money to save and support her and me. And my plan in high school was that I was going to college. I had a pretty good idea that softball was going to get me to college, but other than that, it was just grind in the classroom, grind on the field, and just make sure I got to college. And I did. Thankfully, I got there for about a 98% discount. And then after college, I think that's when things kind of tanked. I didn't know what I wanted to do, and I didn't really have a plan. I worked some odd jobs for 3 or 4 years after college, and then it was actually Mr. Plunkett that was like, "Have you considered teaching?" And I was like, "What? No." And then I got certified, and I interviewed, and I got a job, and I always wanted to help people, and I thought that would be in the medical field. It turns out I'm horrible at math, so that didn't happen. But teaching and coaching is something that allows me to do that every single day. So I guess the overall message is, if you don't have a plan right now or you don't know how you're going to execute your plan, that's okay. Just have a goal and just keep grinding towards that goal, because it will work itself out. I promise. It always works itself out. Maybe not in the way that you expect, but you'll definitely get where you want to go.
Hello, my name is Frank Wolke. I've been given an opportunity to speak to you about one of the many options open to you after high school, and that's enlisted service in the military. First, a little bit about myself. As you can see by my surroundings here, I'm a pilot. That wasn't always the case. I grew up in a huge 12 kids family, but not much money. Dad was a mechanic and an equipment operator. Mom was a homemaker and worked a little bit of time as a nighttime cook at a Dunkin' Donuts. In a family as big as mine, there wasn't a whole lot of money to go around, so us boys were expected to contribute. Worked 3 jobs while I was in high school: busboy, cook, mechanic, tire changer, and pump gas into airplanes at the airport. Was a mediocre student, A's in all the classes that I really liked, D's, and quite frankly some F's in classes I didn't like. So I was given a chance though to take some college courses at night while I was in high school. So I got a taste for college, but truly there was no way for me or my family to afford it. And I really needed to start putting some money away for not just myself, but my family as a whole. So I elected to enlist in the military. 17, went in the military, did all my training. My initial training was as a linguist. Decided I didn't like that job. Asked to do several other jobs in the military, and the military took them all into consideration and then promptly ignored it. Made me a truck driver. Sounds like it could have been bad. It was actually great. I left Army truck driving school with a commercial driver's rating. I got to my first unit and fell under the influence of a really good guy, Sergeant Carlos Martinez. And he didn't believe in sitting around and letting yourself go to waste, so he quite honestly forced me to do stuff to better myself. He helped me get certified as a mechanic while I was in the military. He helped me get certified as an equipment operator, not just a truck driver. He helped me convert all of my, or actually just showed me how to do this stuff. Showed me how to convert my military driver's permits to civilian commercial driver's permits. And most importantly, he introduced me to the Army's Education Center. All the branches of the service have the same thing. I was able to attend college part-time while I was active duty military. Did quite a bit of the college while I was in, but not enough. Found out that if you take classes and tests, the Army will give you time to do that. Was doing some hot, miserable work, spreading asphalt and tar one day and wanted to get out of it. So signed up to take a test in an air-conditioned building. It was a test I had no interest in. It was a flight aptitude test. I took the test, spent 2 days in the AC and forgot about it. Was deployed to Central America and got a message: hey, Specialist Wokey, we want you to go be an Aero Scout observer. That's a recon specialist in helicopters. I re-enlisted for that and found my passion in aviation. Because of my vision, being an actual pilot in the military wasn't an option, but the military gave me the GI Bill, and that gave me a great opportunity. I found a good school. It was a 2-year school. I left there with a 2-year degree and all of my flight ratings. I worked my way up through the aviation ranks to where I am now, where I make a very comfortable living, get to travel all around the world. While I was in the military, actually, I made enough money and they covered enough of my needs. I was able to help my brother and one of my sisters go to school as well. And it's worked out great. It's a great opportunity. For those of you considering it, in my opinion, the best branch of the service to go into is whichever one gives you the best deal. Shop around just like you would for a car, and quite honestly, pick the one that ignites your passion but gives you the best deal. Gives you the training and the experience you seek. Good luck with whatever you choose to do in the future. And for those of you who do choose to go into the military, thank you very much for your service in advance. You guys have a good day.
All right, hey guys, I'm Mr. Samuels. I'm going to tell you about an obstacle I overcame to get my college degree. So before I get there, let me go back really quickly. I graduated from Marcus in 2007. I had a scholarship to Oklahoma Wesleyan to run track and field and cross country. Found out 2 weeks after I graduated that my girlfriend, who is now my wife, was pregnant. And so I had a decision to make. Was I going to continue that scholarship or was I going to stick around and work? And I decided to give up college for a while, and I got 2 full-time jobs for a couple of years. Was working 2 full-time jobs to pay the bills, pay my rent, do all that stuff. Decided in about 2011 that I wasn't happy where I was and I wanted to go back to school to become a teacher. So in 2011 I enrolled at UNT and spent about 5 years there, I'd say, 5-6 years, getting my degree there. Graduated in 2016 with an A average GPA. Kept working the whole time that I was going to college, raising 2 kids, dealing with the relationship and all that entails, paying my mortgage, everything that I needed to do while getting my degree. So there's really no complaints in my book. You can do it. There's no obstacle that could stop you. So that's my story.
How's it going, LHS Kilo? I'm Mr. Hoskins, and I'm here to talk about an obstacle I overcame in order to go to college. So I'm a graduate of LISD. Unfortunately, I had to graduate from Flower Mound High School, but I do love Louisville. I went to Hedrick Elementary and Hedrick Middle School, so my roots are here. But I was not the best student in high school. I was a B/C student. I really didn't understand school or really love to read until I got to college and started reading self-selected books that I enjoyed. So because I was a B/C student and not the best student in high school, I started out at a community college, Northlake, which is part of the Dallas Community College District. So I went there for 2 years. I highly recommend community college first for some of those students who might not have been the best in high school. I didn't have good study habits, so starting off at community college allowed me to kind of take those baby steps, learn good study habits, and then after 2 years there, I was able to transfer over and do my last 2 years at the University of North Texas. So not only did it allow me to kind of gain those study habits, but it was also a lot cheaper. So my student loan debt is significantly lower because I went to community college first. So that's one of the obstacles I overcame in order to go to college.
Hey guys, some of my obstacles when going to college were that I'm a first generation college student, so when I was applying to college, applying for financial aid, my parents and I had to learn completely from scratch on deadlines, what to submit, how to gather all the documentation that we needed to apply for financial aid. I come from very modest means, so financial aid is really what helped me get through school. Student loans, grants, scholarships, all of those things I had to learn from scratch. Also, not having anybody in my family that had ever gone to college, I didn't really know what to expect from the experience. So when I arrived at the University of Kansas, I really had to learn what is it like to be a college student, how to study, how to get the resources I need, how to get my questions answered, who to talk to, and really had to learn how to advocate for myself as a college student. So my experience probably similar to a lot of the experiences that you'll have here in a couple of years, not really knowing what paperwork to fill out, how to apply for financial aid, what colleges require what documents for their applications. So luckily we have plenty of resources here at Kilo, and you'll have plenty when you go over to LHS as well to help get all those questions answered for you.
Hi, Ms. Rodriguez. I teach math, algebra, and geometry. I'm just here to talk about some of my obstacles going through college. I did graduate from LHS in 2005. One of the biggest obstacles I had when I was a 10th grader was that I saw my brother, who was 4 years old at the time, get run over by one of my friends who was 16 years old. He had been smoking weed and he had been doing other drugs, so he didn't see my brother. I was outside watching my brother, so for a long time I thought it was always my fault, so I went into a really bad depression, had to have counseling and other things. I started doing drugs myself, then I started missing school, skipping school. I eventually got sent to DAEP here in the LHS system. At the age of 16, I became pregnant with my first child, and then after that, I wanted to quit school, but for some reason, I kept going. I went into the Learning Center, transferred over to the Learning Center, and then was able to graduate. And then in 2005, I was the first one in my family to graduate from high school from a lot of cousins. If you think about it, my mom has 10 brothers and 3 sisters, and my dad has 7 brothers and sisters, and they each have about 3 kids, so that's a lot of cousins. And I'm the first one that was able to graduate from high school. I started college right after I graduated from high school. I started college pretty quick. Within a month of starting college, I became pregnant with my second child at the age of 18. Had her, again, wanted to quit because I thought it was too much. I thought I was never going to be able to graduate. And so I ended up staying and just kept going for some reason. And then a year before I was supposed to graduate college, I became pregnant with my son, which number 3. Again, that was probably really hard on me because I was really close to finishing, but I just did not see myself being able to do it. I kept going again, and then in 2010, I became the first person in my family to graduate from college. I graduated from Texas Women's University, and